Hey everyone, welcome to another test that we did here at BECiNE. This is a lens test comparison. Today we're going to be comparing the Angenieux Optimo Prime naked and with some IOPs. We'll talk about the IOPs as we go through the video. I wanted to thank our cinematographer Emilia Mendieta, who's here, who shot this test and with the help of our BECiNE team. And she's also here today to help this commentary. And today we also have Corey, our lens technician, and myself, Emmy, and Corey are excited to dive in. And I'm excited to watch this video for the first time. Let's go.
Yeah, very exciting.
So a little bit of backstory, I would say the Angenieux before these primes, they were mostly famous for zooms.
Yeah, they haven't made prime lenses in, I think, about 50 years is what the Angenieux rep told me.
Right. So what is really exciting about these Optimal Primes, guys? What is new?
Well, I really like the cleanliness of them. They, even without the IOP, they produce a really nice, clean image. I've shot two things with them and been really happy. They have a little bit of character. They render skin tones really well. You see here we have two different people with two very different skin tones. They both look amazing. It has a nice contrast. Yeah. And the IOP just adds a little bit of more character when you need it.
Yeah. Corey, tell us a little more about the IOPs and what are they?
Yeah, the IOPs, it stands for Internal Optical Palette. The Optimo Primes designed a system where you could replace an internal filter on the lens to create and implant different filtration inside of the lens. So instead of putting a filter on a matte box on the edge of the lens, you can instead make a permanent look baked into the lens itself. So internal optical palette. On this test, we went with Glimmer Glass 1/8. However, right now we're looking at it without the Glimmer Glass filtration.
Yeah, it's super clean and nice. And these are made for full frame, but from my understanding, you could totally use them shooting Super 35 as well. But of course, if you shoot full frame, you use the whole dimension of the glass.
Yeah, they're designed to work on full frame cameras, and I'd say you definitely could use it on Super 35, but you start to notice on the edges, especially of the more extreme focal lengths, like the 18 and the 200, you do see a little bit of spherical distortion where the edges do get a little bit softer. They're not as sharp in performance on a full frame sensor. But on Super 35, you'll get a really even and sharp image for the most part without any filtration if you use the clear internal standard filter tuning.
So this is all clear, right? With no IOPs, and we're at a T4 now. And how fast are the lenses, guys?
They vary from focal length to focal length, but they go from T2.2 to 1.8. Most of them are T1.8.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty fast.
They're very fast.
Yeah, they're also really light, which is one of the things I really like about them as well. They're small. They're not very heavy. They're not as light as some lenses, but they're also not this mammoth thing. They're very ergonomic, very good to use.
Yeah. I think nowadays that's so important, right? Like there's so many beautiful lenses out there, but they're so big or heavy. And I think the DPs are more and more looking for lightness.
So this is our first shot with Glimmer Glass internal put in, and you can tell as soon as Abel in the background there turns on the flaring light, you can see a wave of contrast, low contrast just comes in. It sort of starts taking over. And that's the Glimmer Glass element sort of glowing in the middle of the lens and reflecting back towards the sensor.
Yeah, that's nice. I like the quality on that light more with the IOP.
And Abel's skin in the background changed a lot with that light too. The contrast totally pulled out some more nice tones from his skin.
Yeah, it's just a nice, creamy kind of halation glow going on with that.
So we're looking at both a warm and a cool veiling flare right now, and some ghosting flares as well from the flashlight in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how the light really floods the sensor and really lowers the whole contrast of the lens.
And Amy, when you use these lenses on your projects, do you remember you used it with the glimmer glass?
No, I've used them clean.
Mm-hmm.
I rented through you guys. You didn't have the IOP at the time. I really like them actually. For portraiture, they looked really nice. I used them on two music videos that were very different aesthetically. One was kind of steampunk period piece inspired one, and one was like a very techno flashing lights, more modern look to it, and they performed very well under both contexts.
That's good.
One of the things that was really nice with the second instance, we had these really nice, rich blacks. Like the contrast was nice, but it didn't like dip directly into the black. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to have that richness in the shadows without it going just like now it's starting.
Yeah, I think these lenses do that really well, where the contrast is really gradual and beautiful, especially with the glimmer glass. And you can still tell that there are rich, dark colors, but the low contrast makes them kind of softer and have more texture to them, which is really cool. And if something I learned about these lenses today actually was the bokeh. The shape of the bokeh it's a 9 aperture blade, so it has like a really nice geometric shape to it. But towards the edges, they get more of a cat's eye look. So when we pan the camera towards the edges, you'll notice the shape of the light sort of changes in the bokeh in the background.
Yeah, because in the middle it's very round. It's like perfect.
They're very
round
perfect
almost.
in the middle. And that's why if you use it on a Super 35 sensor, you'll get pretty much perfect bokeh.
It's very romantic. For me, it brings kind of like a romantic feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see even here with what you were talking about with the blacks, like the slate, that's like that really deep black. We haven't lost that contrast, even with the glimmer glass IOP in it.
True.
It's still very like a nice, rich black.
And like the only time where you get close to losing some contrast is when you kind of really intentionally shine a light right down the barrel, like we did here. The light's off now, but you still get, and it turns like lighter colors into a nice soft look. And the bokeh generator in the background, those little light sources do have a nice little bit of halation on them, which softens the whole feel of the image.
Oh, nice. Here we got I appreciate you guys did that. Comparing the 4 side by side.
Awesome job editing, Emmy. Shout out.
Thank you, Emmy. Yes. It's a lot of work editing. We know that. Not only Emmy was the leader DP on this test, she also was editing, and now is here commandoing this voice recording session.
She also helped us set up and create an interesting shot that we got here with a ton of color, a ton of different light sources. We've got some like blue accent lights and purple accent lights in the back. It really does a really nice job to really test this lens's performance. We also shot during the middle of the day, and this room has large skylights kind of a big distance away. So kind of a challenge lighting this room, but this is kind of a good real life test for this lens, this whole set.
Yeah.
What differences are you guys noticing between T4 and T2 on these lenses?
There's more of the ring around the bokeh, the glimmer glass. And it's a little bit creamier on the glimmer glass. Because like everything seems a little bit more impressionistic is really the way to say. Yeah, it looks almost like you're looking at a Monet a little bit up close.
But I gotta say, it held up pretty well between T2 and T4. Like, there's some lenses when you're wide open, like the lens is a different lens. I don't think that is the case with these lenses, right? Yeah. It pretty much, like, it holds up wide open and T4. Because the 18 is a T2, correct?
Yeah. And pretty much all the ones in the middle between 18 and 200 are T1.8. So they're pretty fast lenses. And from my understanding, it's pretty hard to design a fast full frame lens without having a lot of characteristic. And I think these have done a good job of making a very sharp, very high contrast image at a very low t-stop. And I think that's kind of what their whole claim to fame is in a full frame format. That's the space they fill.
Yeah, the first thing I'm noticing on this 24 is how much less distortion we're seeing on
Mm-hmm.
the edge of the sofa.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because on the 18, you definitely saw the sofa like
It was doing barrel distortion. Yeah, the centers were kind of bulging out a little bit.
Mhm.
Definitely towards the wide side, you have a lot of barrel distortion. I'd say once you get to like the 28 millimeter, you see a lot less distortion. But then once you get out to like 135 and 200, you start seeing pincushion distortion.
interesting.
But yeah, I think now that you went to a T4, coming from a T18, honestly, I did not notice a lot of changes. I
Yeah.
think the lens pretty good performance,
Yeah,
wide
it
open.
definitely speaks to how high performing this lens is with how fast it is as well. And the shape of the flares changed too.
Yeah, they're pretty consistent throughout the set. That was one of the things that I walked away from with this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and these lenses, they came out around 2019,
Mm-hmm.
which was right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think people are still learning that they exist, because during the pandemic, a lot of people didn't shoot or didn't go to trade shows. So it was a hard time for the lenses to come out. But I think now people are still learning about it. I still run into people that I mentioned Angenieux Optimo Prime, and they're like, "What? Angenieux makes primes?"
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. And then, yeah, lately there are some pretty cool projects that shot with it. For me, one of my favorite ones, I think, Daisy Jones and the Six. I really love that TV show, lens by Checo Varese. They use that. There are also some other known projects that use this lenses as the Whale, Power Book 2,
Wow.
Emily in Paris, The Shadowless Tower, My Country, My Parents,
Hmm.
Alex Rider Season 2, Lincoln Lawyer Season 2, and there's a French movie called Le Tourbillon de la Vie, which I don't know of. But yeah, are some of the credits. And Amy has a couple of her music videos.
Yeah.
Then maybe she can write up on the comments with a link so everyone can see what she was talking about, how she got two different looks with the same lens. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 2 music videos by Charlie Young. I'll link the comments. But the first one is Scumbag. Sorry, that's the name of the song. And the other one is I Want It Now remix.
Mm-hmm.
If you look here at the bokeh has a lot of texture in it too. And oftentimes when you see a lot of like texture in the bokeh, like it kind of look like an onion with a lot of circular layers. When you see texture in the bokeh, it's from an aspherical element in the center, and those are usually elements that you have to sort of like grind down with a sander, and you're seeing those circles, and that's the texture of the sanding process. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think I remember early on when they were bringing some different IOPs, like there was one that had like a wire inside. Like I remember seeing some like different textures. And the cool thing about the IOPs is that you could get a clear one and you could make your own,
Right.
Either, yes, with like a little wire, or you can put things.
Yeah, here at
and
BECiNE
experiment.
we have clear filters, and with clear filters you can really do anything. Like Bianca, you mentioned fishing wire, I think, is the common one, and you can put in fishing wire and you can simulate an anamorphic line flare across the screen. Or
It's the rainbow.
It's
Kind of
cute.
rainbow.
yeah, isn't it pretty?
Green rainbow. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these have that kind of rainbow flare, which I really like.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when I say these have a little bit of character to them. Like when you have a little bit of flair, with some of the colors, they just have a little bit more character. They can be very clean, very beautiful portraiture, but they have a little. They're not clinical.
Yeah, they have flavor.
And the colors are really popping here. Yeah. I really like it. Like the blue is very blue.
We shot this on Sony Venice, right?
Yes, Venice 2.
Venice 2.
Venice 2, baby.
I tried to hide my coffee out of frame there. It looks like it made it.
It's a pretty good combo. Venice 2, Optimal Primes. And I think the nice thing also about, if you are shooting a project with the Optimal Primes and you need zooms, I mean, there's a wide array of Angenieux zooms that would match super well with those primes. Make your life easier.
Look at how intense the veiling flare is on the 21 with glimmer glass at T4. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Some really beautiful colors in there, and it just like takes over and washes the whole image.
Yeah. Now I can see more of like the T4 performing better than the T2 with the
Yeah.
flares when you want the flares
Yeah.
in that case. But
Yeah, it can really pump the flares contrast power up by stopping down to T4, it looks like.
I mean, I'm a fan of T4. I usually shoot at a 4.
Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't like shooting at wide open on the lens ever, usually. And just, I did this paper when I was at AFI. I had to research why people would choose different stops, and I went and did tests on a few lens sets for it. And I just discovered I just really like how a 4 looks.
Yeah.
It's just my particular flavor.
yeah.
But I like that, you know, it looks good at a T4, but if I need to open up, there's still a little bit of consistency with these lenses, I'm not losing a huge amount.
That's interesting though. And I feel like that's what cinematography is all about. You love T4, someone else might love 2.8, the other person likes a 5.6. And
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong, right? You go
Mhm.
with what you like and what you can work with. Of course, depending how many lights you have, sometimes you might be forced to go a bit wider than a T4, but I love that you have that on your cinematography card.
Yeah.
You're a T4 girl.
Yeah.
T4 girl.
And your gaffer already knows it, so
Yeah.
I've been shooting at a 2.8/4 split recently just because, I've been shooting projects that might not have the lights to go to a T4. But, yeah. In my thesis at AFI, I shot T4 interiors and 2.8 exteriors. My gaffer really did not like me.
that is interesting, Amy. I don't think I have heard anyone say this before.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit more? Well, the outside you would do it at 2.8 so you can get like shallow depth of field.
Yeah. It was just because most of the film was outside, and it was a psychological thriller that we actually wanted to make look like a Douglas Sirk melodrama. So we do some really extreme color on it as well. We wanted it to feel really romantic and like from the 50s where but like there was all this dark stuff going on. So like the 2.8 just kind of helped enhance that. I also shot with partially an Angenieux zoom. It was cooked as fours with an Angenieux zoom.
Which also it's a match. I mean, Angenieux zooms have been matched with every lens in the world.
Yeah, T4 girl.
There it is, 2084. See, it flies really nice too. That's without the IOP.
Mhm.
Let's see what it does with the IOP.
Oh, this was the electric lime flare.
Electric lime.
Yeah, it has this really kind of electric lime
Uh-huh.
color.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting color.
Yeah, look at the texture of the bow color.
You see how it's like a nonagon, a nine-sided.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the distinct like lines. And yeah, each the texture of all of these lenses is pretty consistent, of the bokeh specifically. Really good stuff.
Do you remember what you were lighting with? What's the key there?
We had an aperture.
Was it a 600?
No, it was a 300.
300.
With a light dome. I did bring my 600D. We did end up using it towards the longer lenses later on in the day, just because we lost a lot of ambience from the skylights.
Yes.
So to match everything and keep everything consistent, we ended up swapping that out. But right now we have the 300D with the light dome working.
I wanted to mention that the IOPs, it is something that we do in-house. So, if you were to choose to use it for a project, you want to make that decision before. As Corey is the one here who is apt to change the IOPs. If you wanted to have, a clean set and IOP set, you would then need two sets. Or, if you would to shoot 1 week with, 1 week without, you would want to bring it to the rental house. to swap it, mostly so you can, keep dirt away from the lens. It's not a super hard thing to do, but it is recommended you do it at a rental house environment with clean air and everything. And there are many other flavors, right? We just did the glimmer glass on this test, but there are other flavors out there. They're mostly in the 1/8 strength because I think that's what makes most sense. And it gives the lens a different quality, right? So using the IOP is almost like you're using a different lens, but without compromising the look. Or it's a choice. It's kind of, it's not detuning because you're not detuning, you're adding a piece of glass, but it is creating a unique look via the internal filter.
Right. Yeah, we have Glimmer Glass in house, but we have a close partnership with Tiffin and Band Pro. So as long as we get a little advanced warning, we can put almost any filtration that Tiffin offers in the lenses. They do try to keep the strength around 1/8 because I think some people are nervous to go higher than that for a baked in look, which makes sense. I don't know. Sometimes when you're using filtration, you want to keep it light, and sometimes you don't, but that's what external filtration is for too. But I think that is something that's really amazing about these lenses. It's like you can almost define your look as a cinematographer by adding a piece of glass inside the lens. Like, what if the lens lets you do that so easily? And from a technician's perspective, it is super easy. It's the procedure per lens is about 15 minutes. And yeah, I can switch the whole set over in about 2 hours if I'm being efficient with it. So, but yeah, Bianca mentioned it's not really something we encourage doing on set because it requires a special kit to do, but also introducing dust into the environment, into the lens is not really a good idea. So we do it in a pretty sterile air filtration environment. So to protect the lens as best as we can, because you are going deep inside the lens, you're removing several layers of optics depending on the focal length. So, but they did make it as easy as possible for technicians like me, and I love that. That's good for me.
One of the things I love is just like with the glimmer glass, and like I am someone who does like to shoot with filtration, external filtration, and just have it on for a whole project. So something like this, I just love that it could just live inside the lens and it's just baked in. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ease to that.
Yeah. And I am a glimmer glass. Oh,
T4 girl, glimmer glass girl, we got it all.
Glimmer glass is like my flavor of glimmer
Oh,
glass.
that's cool.
But I do like glimmer glass too.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it adds something really beautiful. I mean, just a touch of something that makes people just look.
It does a lot for skin. It really softens skin in a beautiful way.
Yeah, you guys look really good.
I won't comment on my look. I have my opinions, but I'll keep them to myself.
Yeah, this blur on the 28 T2 with the glimmer glass, it's just very impressionistic again. It's like the roundness of the bouquet becomes even rounder, if that's possible. It just, I don't know, it looks...
Smooths it out a bit.
Yeah. Look, I like it. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it too. It gives that impression of like softness, but classic, right? Because it's so round and.
I love 40.
We're at a 40. So this is a clean, but the contrast does go away a good amount, right? There's no glimmer glass in this lens.
Yeah, this is clean. And this is what I mean. Like, they just like the 40, I think you have this really nice portraiture quality just straight out the box without anything adding to it. Like, I love this 40. It's just, everyone looks gorgeous with it.
Yeah.
You guys did great in the test. I'm so proud of this team.
Yeah, we all cared a lot about. We knew Emmy was coming. We're like, okay, we're putting our best hats on. We're all getting our best lights out. You know, we gotta show up for Emmy.
Yeah, well, I'm happy. I'm just, you want to test? And I'm like, yes, I'll test anything you want.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do more of those tests so you guys at home, can sometimes decide for yourselves without having to take your day to do a test. So we want to educate everyone on the difference of the lenses and make it easier. But testing is such an important and educational part, right?
Yeah,
You can learn
absolutely.
so much.
Yeah, Emmy's been here testing a few times with us, and it really helped her decide like what way she likes the Optimo Primes, what lenses she likes. I remember you tested the black wings with us, which we also shot for this series. So
Yeah, I actually decided to use the black wings with the skins based on the last test you guys did. I was shooting a music video and was looking for something unique. It was going very pink, and I wanted something that kind of matched that vibe. And I watched the test and I was like, those are it.
nice.
But yeah, I test everything.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think there's space here for us to test the Optimo Primes even further and get really creative with some of the internal filtration we do, because we have the clear filters. We can put all sorts of stuff in there. I'm thinking of all the stuff we can put on glass, and it sounds like a fun time. Like I saw some examples of drawing using like an expo marker, like a purple expo marker along the outside of the IOP glass.
Oh,
And that creates like a interesting little flare characteristics that are really fun to play with while having like a low contrast glare on the edge of the frame. It's really cool stuff. So there's so much more room for experimentation with this set alone, which I think, especially for young filmmakers, like this is the sort of lens you can pick up and have it define. Like you can experiment and have a look that is so unique and your own, and have it be something that's like kind of a trademark for you almost. Because like, yeah, you build a relationship with a good rental house like BECiNE, shout out, and you can be like, oh, I see Emmy's coming. I know how she likes me to use a purple marker on the edges of her IOP. I'll put that in for her ready to go. And yeah, that's the importance of a good relationship with a rental house and testing and experimenting with new things. And I think these lenses are perfect for that sort of setup.
Are you saying I can take a purple expo marker to these?
Allow me to do the purple X. I trust you to do it, of course. But I'd rather have control over the marker.
I guess we'll have part 2 of this test coming up with
Yeah,
purple
there's
Sharpie.
more to see. Purple Sharpie.
I'm curious to now see when the IOP is gonna come in on this 40. Yeah.
There it is.
Because at first I thought it had on because there was like
Yeah.
halation a little bit in the backlights, but now it's even more. So now I get it.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised because there was a lot of halation on the previous one. This is a veiling flare we're looking at right now that's lowering the contrast of the whole image, and it looks honestly like the glimmer glass definitely does more. But I was surprised how much the 40 mil did this without the IOP in it, without the glimmer glass.
Yeah, I think the glimmer glass definitely adds up. It really amplifies the goldenness of that light.
Yeah.
But it still keeps that contrast. Like, her hair, there's still texture in it. There you can still see the texture on both your jackets or shirts. That purple, when we're not flaring the lens, it still has a nice deep saturation and texture to it. Even with this glimmer glass.
Yeah, you're losing contrast but maintaining sharpness. And I think that's what's really cool about these lenses specifically. They're very sharp, high-performing lenses, but you can modify them in ways that change the contrast. And I think that's how you make really nice skin appearances and really beautiful images too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it keeps it at T4. It performs very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got a new flare characteristic.
Oh yeah, I like that
See
one.
that? You can see each blade of the aperture.
Ooh,
That's so cool.
there's a little bit of a rainbow bottom left there.
It's like a more of a magenta flare, like ambery magenta flare rather than that lime green we were seeing before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of changed, right? As you go longer on the focal length. Yes, look, that's
There's a
really
lot of color in
nice. I like it.
there.
And if you're watching this and you have, any ideas for future tests, you can write up on the comments or things you want us to talk about. Um, yeah, we would love to create what you are all craving for. What is it that people are craving for these days?
Mm-hmm. What do you want?
Snow. Like BECiNE.
I wanted to also just comment Emmy. She runs pretty amazing podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
the ICFC, the International Collective of Female Cinematographers, and I've been listening to that podcast, and it's so inspiring. I've been able to listen to stories and of so many amazing cinematographers. Emmy, so if you want to just to comment a little bit on that and the organization itself, because I think it's a pretty awesome organization to talk about.
Yeah. So the ICFC, the International Collective of Female Cinematographers, is an organization aiming to promote community within the female identifying cinematography community. We have a podcast that is now in its second season.
Woo.
Yeah. Our first season has, well, we interviewed 14 different people. And then including Bianca.
Mhm.
Bianca was our second episode. And yeah, it's great. For me, it's just having these really, really amazing conversations with just interesting people, tackling different subjects in cinematography, both on a personal and professional level. We have um, people who do underwater cinematography. We have someone who does aerial cinematography that we interviewed for our second season, people who work in TV, who do shorts, who do music, who do all these different things and just navigating the filmmaking world. So yeah, uh, if you guys want to listen to it, it is available to listen wherever you listen to podcasts.
Amazing.
I'm happy you guys are on season 2. That's amazing.
Yeah. We've interviewed 3 people so far. For season 2, we're starting off. Well, our first episode already dropped. It was an episode in remembrance of Helena Hutchins. That's nice. Which was great. We had members of our community send in recordings, memories of her that they had, and it was just a portrait of how we remember her.
Yeah.
That's so special.
Yeah. So that's out. And we have Moira Morel, who's our next one up, and then Lauren Gutierrez, and then Sarah Phillips.
Amazing.
Nice. All-star cast.
It's so great because so many of them I know, some of them I have talked more or less, but even the ones I've talked more, I learned so many new things about them listening to the podcast. It's really cool.
It's conversations you don't normally get to have on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis with these people.
The 60. Interesting focal length choice, right? Like we normally see a 40, a 50.
Mm-hmm.
60 is kind of rare, right? Which other sets have 60?
There's a 65 in the Supreme Primes, which is full
Yeah.
frame as well.
Yeah.
I
That's
guess
interesting.
it's the first thing that comes to mind. But yeah, I think I can't remember who, but we've had a cinematographer say that they prefer the 60 for a few reasons.
Really
But
nice.
they also say they like how it's like a mix between a portrait lens, but it's not too long and it's not too wide. So
Yeah, the 60, I like a 60, but it's one of those like, if I'm taking a 50, I'm not taking a 60, and I'm taking a
75.
Yeah, so it's like, where do I want to live kind of things.
Yeah.
But as a focal length, I do like it. It's just, it's a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, my face is on screen right now, so I'm going to try my best. I like the shape of the faces with this lens. I feel like it does a good job wrapping around without distorting the face.
Wow.
You see that rainbow? Oh, look at that. That's so cool. No, it's worthy of a of an enjoyment session. That's nice.
Yeah, this is such a pretty lens.
So the whole set, they have 12
Mm-hmm.
focal lengths.
18, 21, 24, 28, 32, 40, 50, 60, 75, 100, 135, 200. That's the range.
That is the range. It's amazing. We have all of them here available at
All of
BECiNE,
them
everyone.
at your fingertips.
A little bit about Angenieux. I can not say this because I've been lucky enough to go to the Angenieux factory when I was before I opened BECiNE, when I was like doing research. It was pre Optimo Prime. I mean, maybe they were already planning. I don't know. It was 2016. Who knows? They probably were starting to plan, right? I wonder how long it takes from planning to execution for a lens manufacturer.
Yeah.
But Angenieux, well, they're a French company founded in 1936, and their factory is in Saint-Éand, which is maybe an hour drive from Lyon. So when I went there, I stayed in Lyon, and then we went to visit the factory, and it's on a really cute hilltop, and you can see that a lot of the people that work in the factory, they all live around there, and like families and generations of people that have been working there from the past until now. Really amazing experience just to see the factory on its own and receiving so much education. And they're big,
How many people work there?
I don't know what the factory. No idea. They also have, you know, I think Thales is one of their owners, and they do a whole other wide array of
So cinema's
technological
only part of their
things.
business?
It's only a part, yes. They do have other things. But the factory is really amazing. If you ever have a chance, I recommend understanding and visiting these places. For me, it was just I knew I wanted to carry Angenieux, and we had to because they're
Yeah.
the how we call it,
I'll say the best Zooms. My favorite
and
Zooms.
and just visiting the factory just helped to be like, yes, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah. So this is our glimmer glass.
Woo, nice. There it is. I like Abel's colors and his shirts.
Very colorful set here.
That blue, this blue is like Congo blue in concert world. If you ever work live concert, you hear Congo blue. It's a hard blue to work with. It's easy to like go out of whack, like to lose definition.
Mm.
And lighting designers love using this for live concerts. So it's a challenge. I like that you guys put it there in the corner to see it.
For the you can see the way the glimmer glass change the veiling flare, the lack of low contrast changes with the color of the light source, which I think is super important for matching your scene. When you're lighting a scene, you know, you want your lens to complement the color of the lights, not fight it. So you're not going to get any, hopefully you're not going to get any flares that would be too much in color contrast.
So in this case, in this lens, we got more rainbow without the IOP, right? Yeah. Is that what we've seen so far, or was it mainly on this lens?
I think there was one.
Mostly T4, and I think I've only noticed it on the 60, the rainbow flare that got us all to gasp at the same time.
One thing I noticed with the IOP is that you don't, when we defocus, you don't see the like glimmer glass. I call them the little macaronis. Macaroni texture from the glimmer glass you'll get when you put a glimmer glass in front. But like when the defocus, like it's not there, or not that I can see it openly, which is interesting.
Comparing to if you were using a glimmer glass in front of, yeah, because then you have something in front, right, of the lens.
So yeah, we're getting that ghosting flare. I don't see as much of a rainbow in it, and it looked more desaturated with the glimmer glass filter too. Looks like we'll come back to it here. There it is. It's like maybe two-tonal instead of a whole rainbow.
And it's a little bit less saturated than the similar flare we saw 40.
Yeah.
Like that was a little bit more saturated. It's the same two-tone, but it's more desaturated watermelon.
Yeah, I like that description.
And the flashlight you guys were using was just LED flashlight,
Yeah, it was
right?
an LED. Probably around like 5800 Kelvin. You guys see the swirls in the bokeh? Some deep in there.
Yeah. I mean, you see a little bit of the texture.
Yeah, it's a really cool texture.
Yeah, I like it. It almost feels like spider webby.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I like the texture. We didn't pan left and right as much on when it was soft, right, to see the cat eyes, but
yeah, I guess not.
the comparison of the 60. Yeah, it's so soft, like even without the IOP. Interesting. Nice. Like it's a nice quality of the light back there.
Yeah, it was interesting to see several different focal lengths having slightly different like contrast from one another without the glimmer glass. Just like some had higher contrast, some had lower.
I just gotta say, this is one of the lenses that I'm like, I definitely like it at a T4 more than a T2. Way more.
Well, why do you think that?
It keeps more of that, a little bit more of that sharpness, a little bit more of that contrast, while still having softness around the skin tone, skin face. There's still creaminess with a little sharpness. I feel
it's a better balance.
It's a better balance, to my taste.
Yeah, I think we saw in the 60mm T2 without glimmer glass the ghosting flare where you see the shape of the aperture. That was significantly more saturated than the IOP glimmer glass, which I'm wondering why that is. Didn't realize just the glimmer glass alone could change flare color. It's interesting.
$75.
Ooh. Right to about? No, stay in the plant.
Yeah, and the edges you see the bokeh changes a little bit from a circle to more of a cat's eye.
I see. Yeah, I saw a little bit now.
It's subtle. If you were on a Super 35 sensor, it wouldn't show up.
Right.
It'd be mostly spherical the whole time.
Yeah.
But right towards the edge there, it starts to clip a bit towards cat's eye, which most spherical lenses that are full frame do this. It's kind of just a feature of spherical lenses for large format.
Do you guys remember how were you doing to change the Like the light when you were going from wide open to T4, were you ND?
We were swapping NDs only.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's on the slate.
Yeah. I think we went between 6 and 12. Did we go between 6 and 12? I forget what we did. Or no, 6 and 0. That makes sense.
We still got our Boca generator built by Craig Boyston in the back there. That's our little lights.
I think we've only had to swap out like 2 lights on that so far. It's been holding up
Been
really
holding
well.
up for like 4 years, I think now.
Go, Craig.
Ooh, that was nice. Yeah, right. Look at this softness.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can see.
You want a hug?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's so soft.
The ones on the right are definitely cat's eye here. Look at that. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. It's, again, I've been using the word impressionistic like a million times, but it really does look like if you're looking at an impressionist painting, like too close. In a good way.
Yeah, you see the texture of the piece. It's nice.
7518. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Definitely more sharp on my face.
Mhm,
As my
yeah.
face, as we go up in focal length.
Yeah, but that's how it should be.
Yeah, we're getting more sharpness
Yeah.
on the edges of the frame as I get more towards the edge of the frame.
I like the flare that's going on with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little kind of lavendery.
Yeah, lavender from the top. Nice. That was nice.
This one I like a little bit more wide open, actually.
Mhm, yeah. The 75. Gaffer, when you're doing the close-ups with Amy, no worries. You should be able to shoot more wide open. Wide open and hoping. I remember that from film school. So what is top, Bianca? I'm like wide open and hoping.
Nice. I haven't heard that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
Like when you're outside, no lights.
Seen some of that green color you mentioned earlier in some of the veils here. A little bit of green, a little bit of violet, blue.
I really like how the veiling is happening here, like that blue violet. Again, flavor. I like the flavor of it.
This bokeh texture has a little bit of like imperfections in it. I'm
Yeah.
wondering- Sometimes that's the aspherical element having some
Could it be
imperfections in it because it's
or
difficult
dust?
to.
Could it be
It could be
particles
dust.
or
I'll look into it now. I'm gonna go check out the 75 right
Yeah.
after this.
Or imperfections in the glass?
It could be
Yeah.
imperfections in the aspherical element because they're
Mhm.
difficult to make. It's like layering 2 different sized slices of a sphere on top of each other and melding them together. So it's a difficult process. So it's hard to make perfect.
So how many, Corey, do you know how many elements are there in front of the IOP and behind it?
It depends on the focal length for sure. Some have a focus group of elements that move independently, and then some don't. I'd say it'd be a guess, but it's less than 8, more than 5, depending on the focal length.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So many things, right? They gotta move
Yeah.
together. It's amazing. The inside of a lens is like,
The 200 mil is the only lens that takes me longer than 30 minutes because there's so many independent moving pieces and so many layers. Just because the longer and shorter focal lengths are more complex to design. So there's more layers of elements between you and the IOP. There's still so much sharpness behind that low contrast flare. Like you can see so much detail.
very pleasing image to look at, guys.
Yeah, I like this one.
What was the name of the other stand-in for this test?
Her name is Delania. She's really
Nice. She was very lovely to work with. Look at that blue.
Yeah.
It's a lot less violet with the glimmer glass.
Mhm.
It's like the veiling glare was a little bit more violet, lavender. Without the glimmer glass, it's a little bit more of the cold.
Yeah. I feel like we're seeing a trend with the glimmer glass flares being more desaturated, less punchy, maybe.
Yeah, that was a very interesting observation. Yeah, now it's definitely more clean. Interesting. The bokeh, huh? Like the texture
Yeah, it looks like,
with the IOP, so it's almost like it's diffusing whatever imperfection you were seeing.
yeah. The IOP sits right on top of the aperture ring, so I'm wondering what that relationship is like.
This is one of the things I kind of like the saturation of the defocus without the glimmer glass in this one.
Mm.
It just has a little bit more, I don't know, something. Feels a little bit mushier with the.
Wow.
Ooh.
It's pretty intense. I like it.
Okay, I like this one.
This one is nice.
It feels like an art lens for sure. Like a real creative choice lens.
You could also mix and match on your set, right? Use the glimmer glass for maybe just the wider ones, or
Yeah.
I mean, but this is beautiful. I don't know why you wouldn't take this, but if it
Yeah.
doesn't call for your specific project, you could just choose focal lengths with and some without, and it
Yeah,
would
for
still
sure.
be totally matching. And
If you know you're going to use one lens exclusively for portraits and you want those portraits to have more of a soft look and soft and gentle look to them, you can say like, oh, I want my 75, I want my 60 mil to both have glimmer glass in them, but the rest of the set be left alone, because you'll use those lenses for specific functions. Or you can have a set that's clean and have like another 75 or another 60 or a whole nother set, like Bianca mentioned earlier.
I'm really curious to see how these would look with black glimmer glass or bronze glimmer glass.
oh, do they make that, Corey? For now,
I believe if we were to ask them to, they could have it custom made, because they've
yeah.
mentioned that they can make any Tiffin filter into a glimmer glass, but it just takes time from the Tiffin factory. So
What is with the black glimmer glass? I mean, that you like? Does it make the black crush? Like it keeps more the black, or it actually lifts up the black more?
It lifts them a little bit. It gives it a little bit of weird feeling. I don't know how to describe it, really.
But it lifts more. I was curious. Okay. So many future choices out there, peeps.
oh my gosh.
Oh, now there's some moving stuff inside. Oh, that is cool. With her hair. Four. Hmm. Do we have an 100, or that's the longest that we
I
did?
think we went to 135 next.
Oh, wow.
Is that true? I don't remember. okay,
I know.
so here's the 4 shot. We can get a good look at the comparison. Yeah, if honestly the 75 at T2 and T4, the amount of contrast we lose when flaring right down the lens, it's like it feels like a glimmer glass 1/8, and then the glimmer glass 1/8 feels like a 1/4 almost. Like,
It's almost like the original already has something inside, right?
yeah, and I feel like that is different from the wide focal lengths in a sense, where the wider ones don't flare as easily without the glimmer glass in them.
Very nice. See what colors we got here. Some blue, somehow similar. More blue, right? Without the IOP, and green, it goes
Yeah.
green.
Yeah, it's bluer, more violet.
Do we lose saturation up top? I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where you're seeing the stuff on the T4
Mhm.
corner. right, bottom right.
It also looks like the cat's eye bokeh is not doing as much anymore in the corners of the 75. Looks like they're all keeping their shape pretty well.
Oh, that is really like pleasing, right? Straight out of the.
A little bit of that kind of.
Yeah, you are getting. Yeah, yeah. You're calling pets. Well, he's calling cat eyes. We all mean the same thing, I think, right? When the bokeh is not round, but yeah,
Right.
with the 135, it was like there for sure, more than the
Oh yeah, look at
75.
that.
See?
So you can see
Yeah,
him dance as we
I
talk.
like. I like that.
This one feels warm too, like temperature wise. I feel like the veiling flare is really controlling the color.
And you have a kind of a warm rainbow going in there versus like it wasn't the Dixie that had that
Full spectrum.
colder, like full spectrum. This is like a warmer. This actually reminds me of the black ones with the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the shape of the bokeh is really striking on this one. I think this one has a lot more dramatic of a effect of the distortion depending on where you are in the frame of the bokeh.
It's definitely pleasing. I really like what the bokehs are doing in the back. I kind of like that it brings your attention more to the middle.
Yeah, it's like framing. It's like framing tool.
But you can still keep like a two shot sharp, right? Like you have both of them in the corners,
Mm-hmm.
and they're both sharp, and that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it reminds me like the bokeh reminds me of like the way the bokeh will swirl on a Helios when you're wide open on it. That one's a little bit more pronounced, but it
Mhm.
kind of has that same.
Mm-hmm. Something we haven't mentioned yet is focus breathing. These all have, on a scale from like 1 to 10 for focus breathing, like 10 being like the average anamorphic lens and 0 being no breathing at all, I'd say it's somewhere like in the middle, like a 4 or a 5. So there's a good amount of breathing that happens. I meant to mention that sooner so we could look out for it throughout, but it's pretty even. It's pretty even throughout, but the middle focal lengths that do it the least. But the 135, the 18 have the most significant breathing.
Oh yeah, this is what we were doing. Like, look what happens to her hand. That's lovely. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, that's a hand.
Looks like
Yeah,
there's
I
a
got the
yeah.
pin.
Looks like it's attached to a C-stand, not a
E.T.
hand.
E.T. phone home.
Oh no.
E.T. telefoni minha casa.
Oh, that's funny.
Huh. Interesting. Instead of being a blob, it was like a thin. Huh.
Yeah.
And it's really, and that's, huh, close to the lens.
Yeah, so I can simulate this on the projector, and it's really interesting to see because you can stick your finger in the middle of the lens right in front of it, but somehow the whole projection still makes it to the wall. It's really interesting. So your finger just becomes, because so much light is traveling through the lens from different angles, it still completes a whole image, and your hand becomes mostly translucent. It is weird. It's a fun little physics conundrum. Like, how does this work? How does this happen? See, these bokeh feel like they've got a strong circle around them. Well, I guess only in that previous direction.
They defocus differently.
Yeah, depending on what side of critical focus you're on, right? Wow, look how they just take over the frame. That's cool.
It's a good, like, ending credit or big opening credit
Oh,
shot
yeah.
right there.
It's like abstract.
I picture that like a really slow rack focus into the shot from that. That'd be really cool.
Cinematographer Emilia
Yeah.
Mendieta.
Now I need to do that, guys.
Yeah.
That's the next test.
Well, you can recut the credits, Emmy, and use that as the shot. It's beautiful. Is T4 still romantic?
Mm-hmm.
I like how that looks on my T4.
Mm-hmm. If you're watching this, thanks so much for your patience, and we hope everyone is getting something out of it. I feel like even if you know a specific lens, there's always something you can learn because someone else shot the test, not you. So you shoot a test one way, the other DP shoots the other way.
Or you can take this test as a bouncing board, if you want to go further into a specific lens or a specific characteristic of the set. I think
Yeah.
it's a good jumping off.
And if you're listening to this and you're curious to test, please come and test, and we'll do my purple marker theory together. This will be a really good time for me and for you. We can like put some Vaseline on an IOP. We can, they used to do that in the old days when they wanted a softer look. They would.
Yeah, but you put it on the outside. I wonder if that will work in the internal because it would transfer to the other element.
They would never touch, but as long as we dry, make sure the Vaseline dries up nicely. I would feel comfortable putting it deep inside.
Oh, yeah, we're getting risky here.
I'm excited. I can fix it if it goes horribly wrong. Wow, look at how hexagonal not hexagonal, but the shape is like very.
Yeah, you see the blades. You could count. Well, I didn't have time to count, but
I did. Okay, glimmer glass is next.
Bring it to us.
I really like it. Everything looks.
Ooh, look at that.
It's a rainbow. I love the rainbow.
We got our rainbows back.
Yeah, I like a good rainbow.
So this is kind of breaking the trend where the glimmer glass has very saturated flare, which is interesting because that's opposite of what we noticed in the 60 and the 75. Each focal length is so unique. You really have to consider these things when you're testing and shooting.
This rainbow flare is also very present. We have another Optimo Prime. There's a rehouse, the Angenieux M1. There used to be a subway surveillance lens and was rehoused by Zero Optic. There are only 17 in the world. It's a T1 lens. It rainbows beautifully too.
It's our fastest
a 50. Yeah, it's only one, so it's a single lens, but you could mix and match when you want your 50 to be more characteristic.
It's really cool. It's definitely our fastest lens here. The fact that it's meant for surveillance and low light when it was designed really makes it a really great cinema lens because you can, if your taste is different than Emmy and you like shooting wide open, that is the widest we got. So
T1.
Yeah, it's not wide open. It was just we were lighting with moonlight.
It's the only excuse for it. That's funny.
I feel T-stops are like lenses, they're different.
Exactly, and every cinematographer brings their own flavor profile to the way they choose to shoot with the lenses. I feel like I said before, Optimal Primes are a great way to take that to like a really extreme level where you can have your flavor baked into the lens for the entirety of the shoot. I think that's really cool and unique, and I don't think anybody else is doing that today with full frame lenses. So
this is interesting. At T4, we lose the rainbow.
Yeah.
What the heck?
And this lens, I would shoot at the wide.
You would go wide for that.
There's a bit of an amber thing going, but no amber, no rainbow.
Super desaturated. It's still there. The shape is there, but the saturation's monochromatic. It's a monochromatic flare, which is nice too. But it's good to know that if you want that rainbow flare, you just have to stop open a little bit. You can get, and I'm sure there's situations where you wouldn't want a rainbow flare too.
Right.
So you get the flexibility there.
135 glimmer glass. Yes. I like it.
Glimmer, yes.
I like it.
So if you see an email from me, it's like, I need glimmer, yes.
Glimmer, yes.
Glimmer, yes. That pink light is kind of working as a kicker now. I don't remember moving it, but it's like very pronounced on this lens.
Yeah.
but it blends in nicely.
Uh-huh.
Blending in with your face nicely. It's not like pink light.
I agree.
I think we just started dancing at this point because we were tired.
I mean, it takes a lot of patience to sit there.
I'm
I
not
mean,
used
this
to
took all day, right?
definitely not, yeah, definitely not used to being on this side of the camera and having lights in my face. My eyes are pretty sensitive generally.
Ooh,
Plus, my job has me in a dark room most of the time just for projection, so bright lights catch me off guard. Off guard.
got some rainbows there. It was nice.
I like this lens.
Mm-hmm.
135, another Emmy favorite. Let's go. Oh yeah, look,
Mm-hmm.
wide open. Yeah, the tissue.
And it
That's
was
the
mostly
one.
prevalent in the glimmer glass version, not as, but it was still there, but subtle, more subtle
Mm-hmm.
in the filterless version.
Yeah, it's like little things like that, right? That's like only if you have the time.
Yeah.
It's so cool that you can test, and each. I find it amazing that each focal length kind of has its own specific things, and then it just makes you can have your different recipes. It really could be anything you want, depending how you use it.
They make the sets to be as cohesive as possible, but it's impossible. And those imperfections are where you can really get creative. Like with the with different flare characteristics we're witnessing, you can use those in a film in a way that really makes a scene pop or be distinguished in its own way.
Yeah, this is. It's a good blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a very solid like lens set on itself, but very customizable. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we got to see the lens in different variations, and that was amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Emmy
And
and
me.
Corey, and thanks to all the BECiNE team. But
Yeah.
thank you, really, Emmy, for this time. I know it's we spent a lot of time shooting it, editing it, and now recording the commentaries. So we appreciate you.
Go check out her podcast one more time. Can you plug it?
CSC podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio, and Castbox, a bunch of other places. Basically anywhere you can listen to podcasts. And yeah, definitely support the ICIC if you can as well.
And if you want to see more of Emmy's work, where can we see that?
Oh yeah, if you want to see more of my work, you can visit my website, which is emiliamendieta.com, which is EMILIAMENDIETA. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Emmy_Mendieta, so EMI_MENDIETA.
Yeah. And then, come to BECiNE to check out Optimal Primes for yourself or rent them yourself. And I'm looking forward to the purple marker test.
Yeah, and whoever does that test, please show it to me.
Yeah. Great.
And for the video, like and subscribe.
More to
Bye.
come.
See you in the next one.